And I'm sure when we look at the tape, there'll be a number of things that we'll want to improve on, and yet it's a good win against a good opponent, and we'll play in a lot of those close games, and I thought our guys finished well.
Given the opponent and last year, you used a similar game, probably figured it would be one of these kind of scratch kind of games.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's sometimes you think that going in and it's the opposite, and then the other times. So I think you're really focused more on the things, the keys that we feel like to win the game are. Winning the turnover ratio, that was a key to victory. Winning the Russian battle, that was a key to victory. And then if you win both of those, you have a really good chance of winning the game, and I thought those were important stats.
How significant is you don't have to put your win in one after 4 games? How significant is that?
Well, I mean, I think it's what you said it is. We're 3-1, and you get back to work. You work on improving. We're still early enough in the year, and I say this. I can't get into all the things that we're still not doing well, and yet we're doing enough to win some of these close games, and that's encouraging. But there's a lot of things fundamentally that we have to improve on, and so fortunately we're coaching off a win and not a loss, and making those corrections. But yeah.
What does this mean to the win these close games and not doing things as well?
Well, look, I get angry at myself because it starts with me relative to some things maybe that we're putting in that we think will be easily replicated, and yet we get in the game, and recognize there are some challenges. It's a different group. It's different than a year ago. So we have to adjust a little bit better, and I think that really starts with me. I was pleased with how we ran the ball in the second half, and I thought that was significant. I hated my call at the end on 3rd down where we took a sack. I know better. I put him in a tough position there. We were thinking field goal, to make it obviously a touchdown game, but I thought our special teams did a great job of controlling the field position, and then obviously defensively we were outstanding.
Can you remember the last time you won a game without a touchdown?
No. I can't recall. Look, we did what was necessary tonight, but I was proud of how we played to win this game.
There was a timeout before the last play. At that point,
Just a look timeout, yeah, just to see their alignment.
so you decided to blitz even before.
Well, it's a zone pressure with everyone deep still, but I wanted our guys to get a picture of what the last play was going to look like. We had 2 timeouts, so we'll do that once in a while. Just get a snapshot. They got to go back in the huddle, and and they were short in their protection, and the ball came out early.
Sean, how would you feel like Teddy finding a rhythm because of the offensive line penalties and tough?
Well, listen, I don't know who you put in there. It's going to be hard to overcome some of those penalties. Those have to get cleaned up, and they're going to get cleaned up. I promise you. It's been too difficult to overcome, and so we've got to be better in that area.
Coach, can you talk about just the defense, the final drive, when you put them out there, a field goal wins the game?
Look, our crowd was great. Our crowd was fantastic. I thought we hit the quarterback. We defended well. We had to overcome some tough calls tonight, but that's part of the deal. We can't control that. I thought our guys, defensively, that was something else.
You go into that 9-minute drive that you had. You go into it feeling like that's what you need.
I'd love to feel like I can dial up a 9-minute drive anytime I want to. You're going to have some balance there. So I think certainly that kind of put advantage back in our court relative to the time.
Sean, you've had so many calls that haven't gone your way. At the end of, the first half, you get that fumble on fourth down. We're on a replay, it looked like the other one might have been down.
Yeah.
How significant was that?
I thought it was big. Look, I think that they're just more judicious relative to changing any calls in New York. I thought about challenging a call in the second half, on their touchdown drive, and I don't, unless it's egregious. So, but I thought it was significant. It was one of the turnovers that I referenced earlier, and my take as I'm evaluating preseason and early into this season, I see a much more conservative approach in New York, and so we have to pay attention to that. Thought we populated him well. Thought we tackled well. He's a really good running back. I thought we got hats on him, and I'm anxious to watch the film, but I thought we did a really good job. Yeah.
So third time this year, Alvin really kind of turned it on in the second half. Do you think a stronger runner this year than he was?
I think he's more experienced, but I think he's had great strength and balance, since he arrived. Now, the type of games he's in right now are a little different maybe than some of the games we've been in. But again, there's an old saying, it doesn't have to be, aesthetically pleasing to be effective. And I think we did what we needed to do to win tonight, but we're going to have to improve in a number of areas.
What about being able to be 3-1 given the first 4 games being challenging opponents and all?
Yeah, look, that's the record right now, and there's, that's what it is, and we keep going. There's no stop and acknowledge where we're at, take a bow, and, we're 3-1, and, we've got to get ready to play the next opponent.
Sometimes games are different than what you anticipate. Is this what you thought?
It's a good question. I thought the type of teams that we're playing, I didn't expect it to be a high-scoring game, but I thought that I probably felt like both offenses might have had the opportunity to score a little bit more, and yet, and it unfolded that way. So, yeah, I was pleased. I was really pleased with how we played defensively against a good offense.
That area of offense that's going to be in that first half, you kind of disappointed to get 3 out of that. You feel like maybe there's any confusion in some parts of that drive?
Yeah, look, we had a chance to do that last week, and we ended up scoring. So it's an area we got to work on. I think our tempo needs to pick up a little bit, honestly, offensively. Tempo in and out of the huddle, up and down. I just feel like we have to, as coaches, address that and get that going a little quicker. And so, with a new center, a new quarterback, some of these things, this gets back to what I said earlier. You're thinking down the road on, call it G, and you need to back up a little bit and focus on some things that are more important. We kind of felt like that target date for the last 3 weeks. We felt it was, it was close. It could have gone last week, but this was the game we felt all along. So we wanted to make sure, and we were fortunate he was able to. All right, one more question.
Coach Teddy hits on 70% of his passes. Is he playing the way you want him to play in terms of?
Yeah, I think he can play better, and I think he would tell you the same thing. But he's won 2 games in a row with understanding what we're doing. But look, he's smart with the football, and sometimes it's a sack. But he made some big plays for us tonight, and we're gonna need him to. And I think he can improve. All of us can improve with the tempo. All right, thanks.
Guys, locker room's going to be open in just a second with Teddy Bridgewater from 3 to 4 minutes. welcome into the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. I'm Caroline Gonzalez, joined by John DeShazier here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, where your New Orleans Saints have defeated the Dallas Cowboys 12-10. Now, all 12 of those points coming in field goals by Will Lutz. 4 field goals for Will Lutz. It's the first time the Saints have won without scoring a touchdown since October 25th of 1998. JD, how did they do it tonight?
Oh, simple. They played great, lights-out defense.
Yep.
Got the stops when they needed to, forced some 3-and-outs, were able to force 3 turnovers. The last one kind of a nondescript turnover because it was a Hail Mary throw, but forced those fumbles. Von Bell recovers both of them. They shut down Dallas's running game, and we said that was going to be a key in the beginning because the only way you can stop a team defensively is to make them one-dimensional. Made Dallas one-dimensional and really made them throw a lot of passes underneath and punish the receivers, and that's how they won the game.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it, the defense, where one part of the team stands up. I mean, it was incredible to see what the Saints defense could do tonight. Again, you will be hearing from hopefully Teddy Bridgewater tonight, possibly some other players, we don't know, but as soon as we get those players to the podium, we'll be sure to get you over to them. JD, you mentioned it, making this team one-dimensional was something that you mentioned in the pregame show, and I think the Saints definitely did that tonight. We saw some early snaps from Sheldon Rankins, but I think a player for the Saints defense who stepped up tonight was David Onyemata.
Yeah, absolutely. David Onyemata really has had a good time against these Dallas Cowboys. Had 3 sacks against them last year, had a sack this year, but I think really that front 7 did the job. Demario Davis, Von Bell had 10 tackles. They did a fantastic job. Now, Dallas came in averaging 179 rushing yards a game. They come out of this one with 45. Ezekiel Elliott really shut down by the Saints. And again, if you can do that to a team that's averaging almost 500 yards a game, you can pretty much, I don't want to say have your way, but you can get a lot of things done defensively. Even down the stretch, when it seemed a little precarious, you always felt like the Saints had one more stop in them because they kept putting together stops after stop after stop. And I thought it was a really nice game considering the poise they needed to display. Demario Davis really had a dubious pass interference call where the Saints should have gotten off the field on 3rd down, and that ended up leading to the touchdown drive, but the Saints bounced back and continued to get those stops. I thought defensively, obviously the best game they played so far this season, but I thought they did just enough as a team again. The 4 field goals you don't like because they got in the red zone a couple of times and came up dry, but you want touchdowns. But still, you win the game and then you make the corrections.
Can you say enough good things about Von Bell? I mean, 2 fumble recoveries for him tonight, 1 forced fumble. I think, I talked about it earlier. He had the man bun before, and then he has a little braid. So I think we might have to credit it with the new haircut. What do you think?
Well, if that's the way it's going to go, he's probably going to have to shave his head. And the best thing about the forced fumble and the fumble recovery, because he forced it and recovered it, was it was a 4th down play. Mm-hmm. So he gets off the field on a turnover in which Ezekiel Elliott had run for the 1st down when he forces that turnover. So a huge swing of events. The Saints end up with a field goal out of that, and we see how valuable those field goals become in this game. You always hear people, you got to take it deep and you got to score touchdowns. Look, you win the game however you can win the game, and then you make the corrections. That's exactly what the Saints did. So, as Sean Payton said, maybe not aesthetically pleasing, but effective. You got to win the game. Saints are now 3-1. They lead the NFC South again. And now they have a little bit of time to hopefully work on those mistakes.
I think looking at the tape tomorrow, Sean Payton mentioned it, those penalties. I mean, 9 penalties, 80 yards for the Saints. I mean, it was just time and time again. It seemed like we saw a yellow flag out there on the field. What caused we're going to go to Teddy Bridgewater, who's at the podium.
Overall, great team effort. We knew that it was going to be a battle coming into this game. We knew last year we heard about how much more physical they were than us, and we knew coming into this game that we had to be the most physical team. We knew that we had to possess the ball and we had to be good in certain areas of the game. And of course, you're going to watch the tape tomorrow. There's some areas where you can improve on. I know for myself, taking that last sack on our last drive, taking us out of field goal range, now making it a field goal game opposed to making Dallas have to drive down and score a touchdown. But in this league, we know how hard it is to win football games, and no one said they had to be pretty. The only stat that matters is the wins that keep watch the tape and find some things that we have to improve on, and continue to build on the things that we're doing well. Yeah, each week as I'm playing and getting that experience and getting more comfortable. Of course, we all have to get on the same page and stop shooting ourselves in the foot. Play that we have was brought back by a penalty. So we just have to lock in and just do what we do best, and that's play Saints football. We can't think too much. I think oftentimes when we're thinking too much, that's when penalties happen. So we just play fast, play with urgency, and play with some tempo. And it starts with me. And I'm going to continue to challenge these guys as the weeks go on, and challenge myself to play with more sense of an urgency and more tempo.
Betty, Coach got a good point for the sack at the end to put you in a tough spot. Why would you come out of bounds, or how would you do that differently?
I just have to be better in that situation. Like, I was aware that we had points on the board, and I just have to find a way to just throw it over Alvin's head or something, and send our kicking team or out on the field. So it's one of those situations where you wish it didn't happen. You never want that to be the last play of the game as an offensive player. That leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But they say at the end of the day, we won the football game, and that's why we play this game to win.
What was it like to watch your defense on that final drive?
Man, it was a great thing to see. We practice situational football. We practice situations like those on Fridays and Saturdays, and to see what we practice transferred to the football field, the game field. It's great. It's a great thing to see. It's great to see the defense, hold those guys and not give up the points. But as an offensive player, you don't want to put your defense in that situation to where you're on the edge of your seats, hoping and praying that we either get a stop, get a sack, or force a turnover. But hats off to the defense today, creating turnovers and holding those guys' offense. We know how great their offense has been this year. So hats off to the defense for just accepting the challenge this week and answering it. Oh man, it feels great, but that's something that I have to continue to get better at. There's some times where I have to just live to see another down. I may be trying to find an outlet to scramble and end up taking a sack. But on the plays that I'm able to get out of the pocket and just run free, that's a great thing. To be able to bring that extra tool to the table. When things may be taken away downfield, to be able to use my legs to keep plays alive. But it's just something that we all have to just get comfortable with, whether it's me being in the game, knowing where I'm going to drop, how deep I'm going to get in the pocket, and if things break down, my escape lane. So we all just have to be on the same page. Yeah, Alvin, we know how special he is, and he's a guy who worked extremely hard. He's one of the smartest football players I've ever been around. And to watch him just bounce off tackles, catch the ball out of the backfield, and make plays for this offense, he's so valuable to this offense, and we're glad he's on our team.
You've obviously been really safe with football and value that. Internally, I guess in your mind, how do you balance when to take the risk and when to just get the rod and take the sack?
Yeah, so it all depends on matchups and when opportunity presents itself. Early in the game today, we had an opportunity and we took some shots down the field. We were able to hit Mike Thomas on a couple back shoulder throws. But playing against a defense like Dallas, they're a sound defense. We know that they get depth in their zones and try to keep things in front of them. So, we understand that we may not be able to push the ball down the field, but when they do come up and play man coverage and things like that, we have to take advantage of those matchups, and we tried to do that today. But for me, it's just about understanding that my job is to get the ball to the playmakers and, allow those guys on the outside, our tight ends, our running backs to make plays. And, whether it's me, dumping it down to Alvin and he's running for 7 yards, or hitting Mike Thomas on the back shoulder, my job is just to get the ball to those guys and allow them to make plays. I base everything around my past couple years. The past couple years, I had 0 stats. The stat box had 0 in every column, but the one stat that did add up for me over the past couple years were the W's. I was winning in life. So whenever I approached the game with that mindset, like, man, I'm not playing this game for the numbers. I don't care to impress anyone. Sorry to say it, fantasy teams and things like that. But I play this game for those guys in that locker room. We all come here to the stadium with one thing in our mind, that's to win a football game and to help this team win football games. So I understand the league is evolving to, numbers and things like that, but the most important number in this game is the wins column. And we've been able to win 2 games back-to-back against tough opponents. The first 4 games we played this year have been against playoff teams, and we're walking away from the stretch 3-1. So, I could care less about the numbers. I'll leave the numbers to Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara, those guys. They can put up the numbers. My job right now is to just help this team win football games. It's always great to see Drew and to ask him questions as the game is going on. Like, hey, man, what's something you may be seeing right now? And like I said last week, he mentioned to me at halftime, hey, completions are good. Just take completions, exploit your matchups that you like, and just play fast. So to have him here in my presence physically, just a big asset to us. Man, it's tough when you're in 2nd and 20. The call sheet gets very thin, and then you get to 3rd down and it's 3rd and long. You only have so many 3rd and long calls. So if we can just eliminate the negative plays, we'll be much more explosive. We'll have more opportunities to do, certain things. And it all starts with just being on the same page. Going back to day 1 football with OTAs, without the pads, just lining up, eliminate the penalties, and then, the rest will take care of itself. Yeah, I was, but, it's a part of the game. Things happen. When you look at the opponents who we face, guys, man, this locker room, we challenge each other every week. And tonight, we did a great job. We knew how explosive their offense was, but we knew that Coach mentioned just to possess the football tonight, and we came away with the victory. Oh, man, you never want to take hits, but, it just serves as a reminder that the hits still feel the same. So, it's pretty cool to run around, get hit a little bit. Just let's go. I was very travel schedule that we've had the past couple of weeks, being away from the dome, playing in front of these fans. It helped us. A big win, the defense creating turnovers, and if we can continue to, it's going to be very beneficial for us.
Oh, of course, you just heard from Saints quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. We both graduated from the DARE program. So we went to Teddy. We were talking about the penalties. What are some things that the Saints did today that they'll look back on the tape and realize that they need?
Because that really breaks down the offense. There aren't enough plays for 1st and 20, and the Saints were in that situation to be effective in those situations. Those are things that you have to be able to clean up, whether things that we hadn't seen from the Saints offensive line the past several. Continue to see it here early in this season. They've got it just about impossible to win. I know a lot of people saying Teddy Bridgewater in the offense is really good, but if you can't protect, it takes longer time for the routes to develop. So that's a silly equation. You can't protect, and you're just going to push it down the field. You're able to clean up in order to be able to get the defense maybe on its heels a little bit more. Because defensively, even last week in the 33-20s to end of 3 quarters, this one, there's no quality to be cleaned up offensively, though.
Well, as much as we love hearing you talk, JD, let's go ahead and let the fans watch.
Taysom Hill in the game. He sets in the tight end down the sideline. He skirts, throws, and back shoulder wreck snap. This Taysom Hill for a gain of about 18. Off defensively, Prescott throws over the middle and whittled away. It's picked up by Von Bell, and the ball is still. They are, and it's going to be close to come out. At one point, in fact, the Scott. One last Marcus Williams.
Again, you're watching the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Dallas Cowboys tonight 12-10. They will face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week at noon here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That'll do it for our postgame show. I'm Caroline Gonzalez, John DeShazier. Thanks for joining us.